Triple Shot Mindset. Welcome.
Appreciate
Welcome.
you. Yeah, we appreciate you.
Appreciate ya. So it's almost 2023. What y'all thinking?
I'm thinking getting older and wiser. Not digging it.
No?
Nope.
Neither part. Not the older, not the wiser.
The wiser I dig,
Okay.
the older I don't.
No.
But I did discover this great hair vitamin, which I took last night, and this morning my hair looks darker than it should.
Is it, do you take that internally or how does that work?
It's oral.
Oh.
It is oral, and
You like that, right? You've taken oral pills before?
I have. Yeah.
yeah,
That's how I take most of my pills except for the ones that you take rectally.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Okay,
And on that note, New Year. So I've been thinking about this New Year, New Me thing. And I feel like half of the globe knows that that's,
Bullshit.
thank you. Appreciate that. Half of the globe knows that it's bullshit. And I feel like half still buys into it. And with the New Year, New Me, they buy all kinds of products and are in this mentality that by a day changing, all of the neurons in their brain and neural pathways are going to rewire. All of the habits that they've been putting years of time into are going to switch. All of a sudden, they're going to have willpower that they've never had before, or their willpower is going to do something that it's never done before. So I just want to know what side of the camp are you on if I didn't make it obvious.
I don't believe in waiting till a day to start something, right? If you think of something, you're unhealthy, you want to lose weight, you want to start working out, you want to do better in business, why not just do it that same time that you have the inspiration? Because sometimes the inspiration weans off. Like the moment you're inspired to do something, like if I come up with a story to tell or build something, and if it's August 8th, I'm like, well, I'm just going to wait till December 31st to start thinking about it again. By then, I think it's gone.
I've heard people say, and I don't remember the number, but it's like you only have a certain amount of seconds to write down the inspiration before, like scientifically or statistically, you're not going to be able to turn it into something. You've heard that?
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know what that number is, but I always carry around my little red paper. Have you seen it? My little notebook. And
No,
when
but I've
something
seen you
happens-
carry around your red thing over there.
Oh, my blanket.
Yeah, your blankie.
Okay. My red notebook is my other go-to. It's on my desk. And when someone says something brilliant, I write it down. Because
and
I
that's
know...
why you write a lot when I speak.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
Because I know if I don't, not only will I not remember, it's like your shower thoughts. How you're always saying, I had this brilliant idea in the shower.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, in the shower, you can't bring a notepad with you.
But what I do, I start yelling it out, right? So if I think of a quote, if I think of an idea, I start just yelling it out over and over and over again. And I quickly try to dry myself and go out the shower and either write it down or do a voice memo with the same intensity of my shouting. And I think it works.
Yeah, I think that would work. That's very good.
Yeah. So I don't buy into the December 31st. Let's write down our goals. I think goals are important. Don't get me wrong. Anytime you write a goal, it's important. But waiting till a certain day to put them into action, I think it's bullshit.
What do you think, Kevin?
I agree and disagree.
Ooh.
Thank you. People look at life as a book, chapters. So every new chapter is opportunity for a new story to be written. Personally, I wait for a date to start something because then I prep for it mentally. And I take it more seriously because now it's a hard date. So maybe I'm different, but that's how I operate. Like my business, I write, these are the goals I want to accomplish in 2023. And earlier we had a meeting about this too, where we were writing goals. And I think if it was some random August day, we'd say, okay, yeah, we can start, in a couple of weeks. But knowing the deadline is coming, there's a date. New chapter, new me.
I think there is some truth in that because I have waited for significant solstices, which is going from fall to winter. Did I say it wrong?
No, I'm just curious why you wait for those days.
Well, sometimes because or like a new moon or a full moon, sometimes you can like ride the wave of the energy of that new chapter, like you said, or that new beginning, because supposedly maybe the new moon is going to have this ability to clear your mind and uniquely equip you with an ability you didn't have before. Or maybe the full moon's going to give you extra energy to manifest a goal. Or maybe on a solstice, you have like the longest or shortest day of the year, whatever that might be, an equinox, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think there is some value in using nature and special days as bookends for where something begins and something ends. I guess my thought is, if it worked, why wouldn't it work for more people? Like, how does someone make that work for them? Because everyone is trying to be a new person on New Year's, but nobody ever changes, or at least no one that I know. So what is happening?
In my opinion, as I said, when I'm in the shower and I'm singing or I'm coming up with an idea, the minute something hits, I got to do it. Because I know there's a little portal that opens up energetically in the universe that God says, or universe says, hey, this is your chance to do this idea. This is your chance to run with this thought. This is your chance to run with that, whatever. And if I wait, because I got to wait till a certain day of the year, because mentally I got to prepare myself, by then someone else would have taken that thought or idea. And I believe the universe gives you stuff, gives you inspiration, and then it'll take it away. Because if you don't do anything with it, then it's going to go to the next person who's willing to do something with it. So if I'm at Thanksgiving dinner and I overeat, which I usually do, I love the stuffing. I like the mashed potatoes, the gravy, the cranberry. Like, I don't like the meat itself. So I could be vegan that day. But the day after, I'm like, what the fuck did I just do? Like, and I started going to this diet thing, right? I don't have to wait. Well, I got to also eat poorly the next 3 weeks. I go on this diet. I start eating well. I start cutting out the carbs and the sugars and everything else, because I want to be better off on January 1st than everyone else who is waiting till that day to start. So I feel like if I don't take advantage of the inspiration in the moment, it'll wean off, and I'm just going to be like everyone else.
Got it. I think I see now, as I'm looking at you, two perspectives, and it's coming together.
Two perspectives from one sperm and one egg, right?
Literally.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
Before I lose this inspiration, I have to say it. So maybe what you're saying is that you set goals to accomplish something using these significant dates, and that helps you to accomplish something. And maybe what you're saying is you don't wait to become the person that you want to be until a certain date. So somewhere in the middle is a truth that we can live by, which is be the person you want to be now, but use those dates as milestones to accomplish things you might want to accomplish. They're different concepts. Like, goals are different than who you are. Goals are different than the energy you bring to a room when you walk in, the habits that you follow every day, your values, like that's separate. So maybe the problem is that people are waiting to become the person that they want to be until later. So it's one thing to set a goal, but it's another thing to like defer your ideal self and push that down the line. Because that's not what you're doing. You're setting goals to accomplish something.
Right.
And that's not what you're doing. You're becoming the person you want to be now.
I think when inspiration comes, you just jump on it, right? You don't put it on a calendar, okay, January 1, I'm going to continue with this inspiration and make it something. So to his point, if I'm in the shower and I think of something, or if I'm sleeping and I dream of something, I wake up and I write it down. And I don't wait until J1 to get busy.
Yeah.
But I think most people, they want a new chapter because nobody's happy with their life. New chapter, new beginning. And the significance of J1 is, clean slate. I can do whatever I want, make myself be who I want to be, meet the right person, grow myself, be healthy. So I think there is some truth.
But don't you think it's kind of weird that, let's say January 1st falls on a Saturday this year, right?
Yeah.
I bet you no one's going to go to the gym on the Sunday. They're recovering from the alcohol
From the party.
and the partying, right? So right off the bat, the first day is just ruined. So my thing is like, yes, have those milestones, I guess, to gauge yourself where you're at, maybe, but not when to start eating healthy, when to stop drinking, for example, because the fact that December 31st at 11:59, you're still drinking, you're still partying, you're still, doing your lines of Coke, right?
Hey, man.
How is it going to be any different
Don't
a
judge.
minute later?
Yeah.
Right? A minute later is not going to make a difference.
A minute later, yes, it will make a difference because it's a line in the sand. And
I think you can talk about a line in the Coke. That's what I was talking about.
That's true. One time, I remember this vividly. Do you remember the movie Django Unchained? Quentin
No.
Tarantino film. You never watched it.
No.
You never saw it.
No.
Did you ever see
Was
it?
that on Disney Plus?
Okay. Well, for the people listening and watching, Django Unchained, highly recommend it. I watched that movie 5 times in the theater because I worked there, so I got to watch it for free.
Django? J-A?
D is silent,
D.
man. DJANGO.
I thought that was the game with the wood that you start picking up.
Jenga?
Oh, same thing, right?
No. So I watched this movie 5 times in the theater, and one time was on New Year's Eve with my brother Steven. And I remember I'd purchased a hot dog from the concession stand, and I brought it in. And in the middle of the movie, I started eating the hot dog. And I remember casually, it was a midnight showing or thereabouts. I think it started at like 11:15 or 11:30. And I remember looking at my phone or my watch and seeing that it had changed to 12. And I was like, I don't really feel like eating this hot dog anymore. And besides, it's the new year. I set it down, and I remember for the next 3 months, I think I had, or maybe even 6, I was like vegan those 6 months. And it did start with putting down the hot dog. But it was...
But the effects of the hot dog in your body are still there into the new year.
Exactly. But it did kind of launch a very brief, if you look at the scope of my life, I mean, 6 months is tiny, but it launched like a change. But then I didn't stick with it because it was kind of just a whim, if that makes sense. It was a whim and not a whole thought out, like, I just want to experience it, try it out. So I guess there can be value in that. So maybe you're just tricking your own mind into believing that one door is opening and one door is closing. Like, I don't know if the energy of that day is particularly significant, or it's just because everyone on the globe has agreed that we're all starting a new year with new hope and new opportunity, and people just want to ride on that. Maybe that can give you momentum. Maybe not for your whole life, but we did set goals in this office 2 hours ago for 2023. So what's going to make those successful versus something else?
I do see the power behind mass, people doing something, like everyone go to the gym, and you go to LA Fitness or Equinox, and there's like everyone's like running and like huffing and puffing. You're like, wow, I want to be part of this crowd. I do get that. That's like inspirational to me as well. But I think it's a fake kind of a high. Because as people start not showing up, you're like, well, it's now half full. Why am I here? It has to be something deep rooted inside of you, not just a day on a calendar that pushes you to be better. And I think once I look into myself and say, well, I need to eat healthier, I need to be better, I need to write my book, I need to do this and that, that's what's anchoring me into a better trajectory versus, oh, I just circle this date on the calendar and everyone's doing it, so I'm just going to be part of the crowd. And once they fall off the bandwagon, I'm going to fall off the bandwagon too, because it's going to be your excuse.
Yeah.
That's going to be the same excuse that you're going to jump on the bandwagon is the same excuse you're going to jump off the bandwagon.
But it's also your excuse to actually do something about your health.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
So it could work both ways.
It could make someone start something.
Yes.
And then they could find the motivation once they've got the momentum. Because for me, at least, if I start something, sometimes I feel like I have to get some really pure momentum built up behind me to continue to feel motivated. Like if I say, okay, for example, we're going to record our podcast or we're going to have our meetings. And if we do it for 3 straight weeks, I'm like, yes, this is awesome. But then if we do it like 1 week and then 3 weeks we go without it, and then a month later we like do it again, it gets wobbly. Like you lose the momentum. Even if you're in your heart, you want to do it because there's nothing behind it. It's like, oh, kind of a buzzkill. So maybe you start something and you build that momentum.
But you have to start something built into an anchor.
Yes.
That has an emotional attachment to it, right? If you just say everyone's doing it, everyone's going to the gym, I should do it too because I need to be healthy, that's not going to last long. But if you say, I'm 50 years old and have 2 kids and I want them to graduate and see daddy still standing upright, then that's going to be an anchoring emotion that's going to lead me to better success than if I were just to say, well, January 1st is here, let me just do it because I need to be healthy. I need to be healthy isn't going to be pushing you in March and April. I need to eat better isn't going to push you, right? I need to do a podcast every week isn't going to push you. But the effects of that is what pushes me. It's what going to push you. So, well, I agree with my brother. I mean, the majority of people, they just want to like follow something. And they just follow it blindly. Oh, January 1st, I want to eat healthy or I want to look better. But how many of them are actually doing it in April or May? They're not. So anchor your goals into some feeling that you have, that it's personal to you, that is going to make or break your life. And I think that's going to be much more long-term results than just, let me just do it because everyone else is doing it. So, I mean, I agree with my brother, though. Most people, they want to have a start date for something, look forward to it, mentally prepare for it. But I don't think they mentally prepare themselves the correct way.
How would you recommend to mentally prepare? Like, what's your strategy?
So I was saying earlier, not today, but like 6 months ago, that you either have to get inspiration from somewhere within, or it comes out of desperation because you have a heart attack, or you have your kids taken away from you, or, you're broke. So I'd rather place my decisions out of inspiration, the moment I'm inspired to do something because I'm tying it into, I'm going to live longer, versus tying it into, I just had a heart attack, I need to do something different. So out of me, it's when I'm inspired most to live a healthy life for my kids, to live a healthy life for myself, to be on CNN talking about my book in 2 years when I'm still having my full head of hair. To me, that's a feeling that I go into. And that's what gets me to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and meditate or write or something, versus I'm just going to do it because everyone else is doing it and I should do it. I know. Let me just cheat a little bit, because people start cheating. They start cheating. Like, oh, well, I did work out for 1 week. Now I'm going to have a Toblerone. I'm going to have a, whatever. So I think if you are like inspired based on a feeling that's deep rooted, which I now base my decisions on, it'll like take some discipline in the beginning. But even if discipline kind of wins, I still have that motivation to do it.
That is so amazing that you can be inspired by a feeling. And maybe we'll analyze your natal birth chart and your astrological sign later and get an idea of how many planets are fire, earth, water, and air. And believe it or not, even as twins, they may not be the same. But for me, getting inspired by a feeling will give me like 2 weeks worth of go. And then the feeling disappears. I have to have a thought. It won't be like that electric feeling. Literally, it won't be that electric, like in your heart, like the vision, the motivation, and suddenly the inspiration comes. For me, I have to make it very bland. Like, I actually thrive on having just a sentence or something that maybe I had a feeling for at one time, but now I know, like, okay, it's going to be boring today, or it's going to be whatever today, but I'm still going to do it because it's a thought and there was once a feeling attached to it. And I have to honor that past feeling, but I have to know, like, it's not going to give me that get up and go every day. Like, I wish I could, but you're saying like you'll still feel the electric motivation and inspiration months after you set the goal. Oh my gosh. I
thought everyone was like that.
Not me. Is that how you are?
Absolutely.
You are?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
See, we agree on something.
Yeah. Whoa. That's blowing my mind even more.
Yeah. Like, for example, one of his things was, I want to be able to provide more experiences for my family. Right. And when that is his anchor, like that feeling of like being able to give to people who he loves, like every day he's sitting here at 10 o'clock at night, just penning away like clicking away, with penning away.
No, because your pen is
Yeah,
your
our
mouse.
pens are. That is his anchor, right? That's his reason he does things, and he has to remind himself every so often. But when he looks at his daughter and his mom and wife or whatever, those feelings come back.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Amazing. Wow.
Wow.
So, and it's not because you guys are getting enough sleep. I know that's not happening.
Mm-mm.
It's just your makeup. It's your build. Like you run on the satisfaction of emotions.
I think the
Yes.
day you realize you're on this earth for a limited time only, it just changes you. You just do things with a purpose. Because some people, they think they're invincible, and they'll be partying and say, "Oh, next year I'll start." But the day you realize, shit, I only have a finite number of years or decades left, that's when everything becomes serious and you draw motivation from, in my case, my mom's eyes, my daughter's eyes, seeing how they look at me, look up to me, to give them something, an experience, another trip to New York, for example, or something. It always reminds me, or even my staff, they remind me, every time I close my eyes, I say, how can I be sleeping when everybody depends on this company to be running, to put food on the table? So, I mean, I find inspiration in everything. And I don't wait for a date, per se, because every day is an opportunity to do something.
So it wasn't always like this then when you were 20?
No, I think when we were younger.
When we were 29 and younger.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm in my 30s now.
Right, you are. But who was that guy who said every man has two lives, and the second one starts when he realizes he just has one? And I think we just realized we have one.
When?
Like recently. Like when we turned 50, we're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You know, this is the only life we have. Do you really want to live it like this? Just like, you know,
We didn't turn 50. 49 plus 1.
49 plus 1.
That's right. We never say the,
No, F word.
yeah, we don't
Right.
say the F word here.
Well, we just said 40 though. 49 plus
Okay.
1. But I think that when I heard that quote, maybe 6 months ago, right before I turned 50, like it put things in perspective. You're like, absolutely right. Like, because before then we didn't realize that. You know, you realize you just have one life, but you're immortal. You're like, oh, well, I'm never going to die.
So when you were 30,
31. Yeah, 31.
and setting goals,
Mm-hmm.
what did you base it off of then?
I think it was women.
Oh,
How to
Yeah.
impress a woman, how to sleep with a woman.
How to buy a Lamborghini to impress a woman.
Everything was based on,
women.
Yes.
Not a feeling then.
not at that point.
No, it was ego.
Okay.
Yeah,
It
and then
was-
it weans into feelings and thoughts.
describe that to me.
I think when I had my kid, the light bulb went off. That, wait a minute, like, I'm not doing this for myself anymore. I'm doing this for my kid, for a legacy. So if I want to live longer, no, it's just not for me. It's just it's also for my kids. When I want to be successful, it's not just for me. It's also for my kids. If I want to be a better person, less angry, less stressed, it's not just for me. It's for them too. So it changes you to a point that now you have many more responsibilities, many more people looking at you and at you, just like he said. And you got to get your act together.
Whoa.
So feelings would become number one motivator by a long shot.
So that's your compass now, is
Mhm.
feelings.
Yeah.
It's always feelings. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Owen Wilson has entered the chat.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you? So one day when you have a kid, okay, you know, the clock's ticking.
Clocks at
In 8
ticking.
months.
No.
In 8 months when you have your kid.
Look, I didn't realize you guys were so perceptive. By the time I'm aging out, there will be technology for me to just start over again, like AI or something. So I'm not too worried.
Okay.
But when I have a kid, go on with that thought, I'll realize.
That you're living
Two purposes.
two purposes. Thank you. I was looking for that word. And the second purpose is greater than your purpose. Yeah.
And what is it about having a kid that makes that a requirement? What about people who never have children? Like, we've got some famous people, Oprah, for instance, who doesn't have children,
Yeah.
what is it about having a child, at least for you guys? Because now I know you can't go back and
Yeah, we
pretend you don't
can't.
have one.
Yeah.
What was the paradigm shift when you, I don't know, was it when you looked into the kids' eyes? Was it when they were born or when they turned like 5?
When my daughter was born, my first thought was, where's the undo button?
Yeah. Control Z.
Like, and I'm like, oh, shit. Now it's alive. It's looking up to me, literally, for help.
Yeah.
And I think that's what changed it for me.
And how old were you when that happened?
Let's not get into semantics.
Early 40s.
Okay.
Late 30s, early 40s.
But it doesn't really happen instantly. You have a realization, like a oh shit moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe by 2 years old, that they start speaking and holding your hand, and you can see how dependent they are on you to guide them down the street. Then you're like, oh crap, this is much bigger than just, oh, I have a kid. Now you have another purpose. And to me, that's when it happened. She was holding my finger and we were crossing the street. And then I said, if I wasn't here, she would not know what to do. So I said, everything I'm going to do in my life is going to be to make sure she's safe, healthy, strong, happy.
And provided for.
Yeah. So she doesn't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
So
I want my kid to look up and say, that's my dad. I'm proud of him because he made a difference, not just in their life, but in the world, right? I know so many people our age, friends or acquaintances, who they just had a kid because they couldn't stop themselves, right?
like as an accident, or they just wanted to say they had a kid?
They just want to say they had a kid, right? And there are no father figures. They are absent, 90% of the time. And they don't care, what kind of legacy they have. They don't care if their kid calls them daddy or, hey, Rick, hey, Steve. So we've seen that, and the kids are really disappointed that that's their life. And we don't want that for our kids. And I think part of just anchoring into those feelings to change ourselves to be better is how our kids will perceive us and what kind of legacy we're going to leave them. I think that's very important once you have a kid and once you realize how life is. Because, it's linear. After we die, they're going to be our age one day. They're going to die. Someone else is going to come. And we want to have that line in the sand so that they'll see, wow, in 2022, these guys did something for us that changed our trajectory.
So for people without kids, how do they discover?
You got to anchor into some feeling, some emotion that's really, really important to you. It could be yourself. I'm not saying you have to have a second person or a dependent to do that, but you got to anchor your feelings and emotions into something that you really want. Maybe it's your purpose. And every day you don't do something about your purpose, you're getting further and further away from it. So,
but if it's yourself, you're forgiving. You're like,
yeah.
okay. But if it's for somebody else that depends on you,
mm-hmm.
you can't just say, not today.
Yeah.
So what if you say then, and maybe that's why some people, just going back to Oprah in my mind, end up being such philanthropists and givers, because maybe if you don't have a child then directly that can motivate you, you have to say, well, in the world,
yeah,
I need to do better by the world.
Yeah.
I don't owe necessarily, because I don't like the heaviness of that word, but it is my responsibility to take ownership for my actions and leave this place a little bit better than I found it.
Yeah.
I think your purpose as a female soul, I don't know if souls have
Purposes.
Genitals?
Or
genitals
genders.
or genders, but I feel like every mother is given the opportunity to be a mother, to be a provider.
Every woman.
Every woman.
Every woman, right? So in Oprah's case, I think because she's not a mother, it's still inside of her. There's something saying, be nourishing, be giving, give to children. So I see a lot of people that don't have kids, they gravitate towards helping kids.
Yeah, they still have the maternal,
Right, instinct.
nurturing vibration or energy that comes with the feminine.
And that's why I always say, have a kid.
Oh.
Not now, but have a kid. A lot of women now.
Do you have any that you know of?
Not that I know
Okay.
of. Sowing those wild oats, but
Right.
nothing's happening for whatever reason.
No, women that don't have a child, I always feel they're lost in some way. Not in a negative way, but in the way that they have not seen or experienced the magic that transforms you.
Well, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I've seen powerful women who are mothers and powerful women who are not mothers. And I've seen women who are mothers who are very lost. And so maybe it's about using that nurturing energy, choosing to lean into that more so than anything.
Yeah.
And that's interesting because as men, you're both talking about how having children changed you. But would you say you have that, not maternal, obviously, maybe paternal, or is being a father make you feel like more of a man?
I mean, when we were growing up in our 30s, we were like, man, which idiots wants to have a kid? Why would we ever have a kid? Like, hell no, that's not for me. And once you pass the age of 40. And your wives or ex-wives are reaching the mid-30s, you got to make a decision, right? So we decided to have kids. It doesn't make me feel more like a man. It makes me feel like I have more of a purpose. Because man, great, I can go work out. I can have a tattoo going up my neck, and that could be manly. But to me, man is like having a purpose greater than yourself, being able to provide for a youngin', teach him the ropes, and have a little version of you running around that will carry the torch. And I think that's what it comes down to. I never wanted to have a kid. Like, that was never on my radar. And I told my ex-wife I never want to have a kid, and she said I don't want to have a kid either. Like, high five. But once we did, you realize that there's a reason.
Wish we had done it earlier.
There's a reason you have a penis and a vagina, like greater than self-pleasure or whatever. You know there's a purpose behind that.
Because now you're immortal in a way.
Yeah.
You're not going to die.
Yeah.
Your body will pass away, but your DNA, the lessons you've taught, your influence, the words you've spoken, all of that lives on with the child.
Yeah.
So you really kind of have embedded a mark into the earth.
Yeah.
Eternal life is reproduction.
I know we're talking about New Year's resolutions.
Yes.
But I don't want that to be your New Year's resolution, to be a mother.
Okay.
But just keep in the back of your head
We'll scratch that off.
that maybe that'll push you towards anchoring into certain purposes. That'll be beneficial.
20 years ago, our New Year's resolution would be let's work out to have nice bodies for the chicks.
Nice.
Now it's let's work out so we have healthy hearts for the kids.
Wow.
So we can be there for them.
But in the end, you're still just working out.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Triple Shot Mindset.